Badge or no badge, out! Now! Maya paused with a porcelain cup halfway to the saucer. Rain hissed on the glass wall. The lounge's soft jazz cut under the clink of ice. The wall clock above the bar read 1842. State your policy basis, she said. Quote it. Officer Brent Kellens slid between her and the buffet rail, palm open, another hand near his duty belt. The Axon B-74 body cam LED winked red. His nameplate glinted. B. Kellen. House rule, CX 11.4. No guests. Wrong tier, he said. My access is valid. She held her card to the scanner. It chirped once. Bright green ring. Kellen didn't look. System glitch. Happens. Then read the override note that displays with a green pass. Murmurs stirred along the leather banquettes. A spoon tapped a glass and fell quiet. A travel blogger lifted his phone. A server froze with a tray of lemon wedges. Kellen's voice rose. Step away from the buffet. We're not debating this. I'm asking for a supervisor and a copy of CX 11.4, Maya said. Print or PDF is fine. He angled closer until the citrus smell from the tray mixed with the damp wool of his blazer. Not your call. You're leaving. Do not grab my wrist, she said. You are recorded. Identify your contractor, Aegis Aviation Security, he said. And I said move. Her cup touched saucer, no clatter. Please stop escalating a resolved access scan. Ma'am, refusal will become removal. His fingers closed over her forearm. Pressure, sharp. Heat spread under the cuff of her jacket. A guest, 2 tables back, said, she just scanned green. Phone's down, Kellen barked. Recording violates lounge privacy. Public-facing space. Policy carve-out for incidents, Maya said. Release your grip. The access unit chimed again as a server's lanyard brushed it. Green pulsed. The policy placard on the pillar read CX 11.4 in small print, a QR below it. Kellen leaned into his shoulder mic. Post 2, copy? Static cracked. Subject is non-compliant in Constellation first. Begin removal to terminal floor. Kellen pulled her a half step toward the lounge doors. The murmur in the room stiffened into silence. A woman in a Navy business suit stood up, phone raised. Officer, she hasn't resisted, the woman said. This isn't your concern, Kellen snapped without looking back. His grip tightened. Maya's jaw firmed, shoulders steady. You are applying unnecessary force, Maya said evenly. Release pressure and cite your authority for removal after a validated access scan. Stop dictating procedure, he said. You're being disruptive. I have spoken in complete compliance. The disruption began when you ignored the scanner result. A phone chimed with the distinct shutter click of video start. Kellen wheeled on the guests. All recording must stop. This lounge is private property. A man at the bar replied, She's being grabbed. That voids your privacy clause. Maya kept her tone controlled. Your body cam is active. Public documentation is now legally protected. Kellen gestured sharply to 2 guards entering through the frosted glass doors. Assist with removal. Subject may be using counterfeit credentials. Layla, the lounge manager, hurried forward, badge swinging. Officer Kellen, her scan came back green. Let me just verify. Kellen cut her off. Ma'am, step aside or you'll be obstructing. A low ripple of disbelief passed through the lounge. A guest whispered, Is this really happening? Maya's breath remained steady. Produce the written incident form now or discontinue contact. Kellen keyed his radio. Initiating Level 2 search. Prepare to confiscate property. You are not authorized to perform a search without written notice or cause, she replied. Your own policy prohibits discretionary search absent supervisor sign-off. A security tablet flickered to life on the front desk. Incident form preloaded with a timestamp, 1843-17. The guards flanked Maya on both sides. Kellen's voice hardened. Last chance. Comply, or I escalate this to full removal and detention. "Everyone watching, preserve your footage," Maya said, her voice carrying across the lounge without a shout. "Do not send it to the airline security desk. Send it to the address on this card. If any officer attempts to confiscate your phone, state your right to retain original evidence." She held out a slim black card between two fingers. A guest near the bar reached for it, hand trembling slightly. Phones lifted higher. A man whispered, "This is serious." Kellen scoffed. "You're obstructing an enforcement action. I am asserting legal preservation," Maya replied. "Any interference with recorded evidence will constitute tampering. You are still on camera." A journalist with a press lanyard stepped forward. "Ma'am, are you alleging misconduct by Aurora Atlantic Security?" Maya didn't look at him. "I am alleging that dignity is not a discretionary privilege." A hush swept the room. The frosted doors opened again. Two more officers stepped in, radios crackling. Maya stood at the panoramic window that morning, watching a convoy of fuel trucks weave across the runway. Her boarding pass glowed on her phone. Aurora Atlantic Flight 104. JFK to London Heathrow. Constellation First Class. Above it, a second document pulsed with higher priority. CX Oversight Walkthrough. Investor Liaison Inspection. A chime sounded. Reminder, unannounced compliance check, lounge operations. She'd scheduled it herself 3 months earlier when customer dignity scores dipped below target for the third consecutive quarter. Layla from Investor Relations had messaged at 7:12. "Walkthrough access granted. Staff have not been informed of your status to preserve authenticity." The confirmation carried the board seal, gold, embossed, final. As she approached the private elevator to the lounge, the glass doors reflected her calm expression. She adjusted the lapel pin that held no airline branding, intentionally neutral. "This isn't about luxury perks," she murmured to herself. "It's about accountability in plain sight." Her phone buzzed again. A briefing note scrolled across the screen. "Metric to evaluate. Speed of service versus passenger dignity incidents per hour." A final line shown in bold. "Your presence must not be announced or escorted." The elevator doors slid open. She stepped inside, unaware that within 6 hours, she would become the test instead of the evaluator. 13%. That was her ownership stake in Aurora Atlantic Airways. Enough to seat her in every strategic committee meeting. Enough to trigger contract terminations with a single statement of breach. Yet not a single logo or title appeared on her boarding documents by design. She had insisted on investor anonymity during field evaluations. Her phone displayed a secure portal dashboard as she waited in the lounge reception area earlier that day. Passenger Dignity Index, 72%. Below it, board target, 91%. A blinking red line marked Incident Escalations per 1,000 guests, rising. She tapped open a message flagged urgent. From Armand Reyes, Deputy Head of Investor Relations. Subject, CX figures. Discrepancies. Body. Patterns suggest contractor behavior is driving metrics down. Recommend direct observation tonight. She had read the message 3 times. A photo attachment followed. 3 guests, all people of color, being escorted out of a different lounge in Dallas. Caption: flagged for random compliance check. The passengers had been platinum tier. Maya closed the portal and opened another document. Board Resolution B, R 2025 Q419, which named her as Primary Oversight Liaison for Customer Experience Integrity. Beneath the title, a clause highlighted in blue. The liaison is authorized full evaluative authority across all domestic and international lounges without prior disclosure to operational staff. She whispered, "They won't see me coming, and that's the point." Her phone vibrated once. Old voicemail alert. She didn't need to play it. She knew every word. Her mother's voice, recorded 2 years before she passed, spoke with gentle disbelief. They told me I didn't look like someone who belonged in the premium line. I asked them what belonging looked like. They said nothing, but they made me step aside. That message was the reason Maya stopped donating quietly and started investing strategically. She opened her notes app. At the top of a locked file was a sentence she typed the night she signed her first equity transfer. Dignity is not a variable. Her mother had worked 2 jobs to earn enough frequent flyer miles for a single trip to visit Maya in London. She never made it to the lounge. She sat near a vending machine instead, apologizing over the phone, saying she didn't want to be where she wasn't welcomed. Maya adjusted her scarf, eyes fixed on the polished marble floor beneath her. No one should feel like they need permission to exist in a space they paid to be in, she whispered. A flight attendant passed and paused briefly, recognizing her, not as an investor, but as someone familiar. She nodded with soft respect. Maya nodded back, composed. Purpose settled in her chest like a steady pulse. Maya reached the private access corridor just outside the lounge. A discreet security panel lit up as she held her phone near it, not scanning, merely detecting proximity. The reader flashed a muted gold pulse, an indicator reserved for board-designated oversight personnel. The lounge attendant at the front desk didn't see it. Only Maya knew what that signal meant. She opened her wallet. Behind a standard platinum card lay a metallic credential. IR Liaison 07. No airline branding, only the raised crest of the Aurora Atlantic Board. Beneath it, engraved in microtext, Authority supersedes all operational tiers. She placed the wallet back without using it. Her phone buzzed. A message from Armin. Reminder, only intervene if there is a breach. Let the process reveal itself naturally. Maya typed a single reply. I will not interfere, unless they force me to. She stepped through the frosted glass doors. Lounge lighting caught the edge of her credential through the wallet just long enough to glint and vanish. The stage was set. No one in that room knew she owned more of the airline than the executives whose portraits lined the walls. She had been 24 the first time it happened. It was the same airport, Terminal 4 at JFK, but a different lounge, before the renovations, before she owned a single share. She'd arrived early, ticket in hand, status verified through miles earned on back-to-back consulting trips. Her hair was in a neat bun. Her shoes still showed city rain from the taxi. The receptionist never looked at the screen after scanning her pass. She looked at Maya instead, up, down, then aside. The complimentary area is downstairs, the woman said. My ticket is first class, Maya replied. A pause. The woman pursed her lips, tapped a key with unnecessary force, and said, The system doesn't show elite clearance. You can wait over there. She didn't gesture to a seat. She meant the hallway. Near the vending machines, Maya offered to show a confirmation email. The receptionist didn't respond. Another traveler approached, white, wearing jogging pants and headphones. His pass beeped green. He was welcomed with a smile and offered champagne. Maya stood motionless as people passed her in tailored suits and casual sneakers. No one questioned why she was off to the side. No one asked if she needed assistance. After 10 minutes, she stepped aside and placed her luggage next to the vending machine. She remembered texting her mother. They said there's an error. I'll wait it out. Her mother replied with a heart emoji and, No stress. You earned that seat. 48 minutes later, access was finally granted after a shift change. No apology. That moment calcified into something permanent. Not rage, not shame, resolve. She promised herself then, if she ever had the power to change how people were treated in travel spaces, she wouldn't ask for permission. She would build the authority to enforce it. And she did. Years later, long after promotions and accolades lost their shine, Maya stood in a private meeting 5 floors above the airline's executive headquarters. A rainstorm identical to tonight's lashed the windows. In front of her sat the CFO, 3 board members, and a stack of performance reports. Customer satisfaction metrics were flat. But dignity complaints, the internal term used to categorize moments where passengers felt humiliated rather than underserved, were quietly climbing. Most incidents weren't public. They were buried in procedural compliance logs. Maya remembered holding the folder, running her thumb over one particular entry. Guest expressed discomfort. Officer insisted re-verification necessary. Guest became emotional. There was no apology, no corrective action, only a box checked. Incident cleared. She closed the file. "This isn't inefficiency," she told the room. "It's sanctioned disrespect." One board member replied, "We can't control every contractor's attitude." "You can if dignity becomes a protected metric with financial consequences," Maya said. They hesitated. She didn't. Within 6 months, she had acquired enough shares to secure a voting position. Her first motion was bold. Tie executive bonuses to customer dignity metrics, not comfort, not luxury, dignity. She was challenged, ridiculed, warned it would alienate shareholders focused on profit. Instead, profits rose. Passengers trusted the brand. High-value customers returned. Investor confidence climbed. Maya became the quiet architect of a shift that industry analysts called the Aurora turn. But the reforms were incomplete. Lounge access remained the final frontier, outsourced to contractors incentivized on speed and removals, not respect. Maya stared at the rain that night, the memory of the vending machine still vivid. She did not want revenge. She wanted proof. Proof of whether the system she helped build was real, or only true when people like her announced their power. She would enter the lounge with no title and watch what happened. What happened would change everything. The lounge doors slid open with a hydraulic hiss. 2 additional officers stepped through, uniforms identical to Kellen's, but with dark tactical belts and reinforced gloves. Their radios crackled as they formed a silent triangle around Maya. Conversations in the lounge died instantly. Officer Kellen didn't release her arm. "Subject refused to comply," he said loudly, addressing the newcomers. "Escalation to removal protocol is active." One of the officers, Badge R. Iverson, activated his body cam with an audible beep. A thin strip of red light glowed across his chest. Maya spoke clearly. "My access card has scanned green twice. You are executing a removal without supervisory sign-off," Iverson replied. "We'll determine validity off the floor. For now, we escort." "Produce the authorization form," she said. Kellen interjected. "We don't need it at this stage. Contractor rights section, CX11.4A. A man seated nearby muttered, "That's not what the policy says." Layla, the lounge manager, finally pushed forward. "Officer Kellen, I can verify her credentials." "You're done here," Kellen snapped. "This is a fraud investigation." Maya kept her composure. "Every second you ignore the access system's record, you create liability. That camera on your chest is logging it." Iverson checked a tablet. His eyes flicked. "The scan is green." Kellen shot him a look. "Override it." "Flag anomaly." Iverson hesitated. Guests began filming openly now. A glass clinked onto a tray as a server backed away into the wall. Maya said, "State your badge number for the record." Kellen pressed his mic. "Post 4 requesting report suppression authority. Subject potentially hostile." The radio responded with static, then a voice, "Proceed with caution, authorization pending." Iverson stepped forward anyway. Iverson reached for Maya's carry-on bag, unzipping it without asking permission. The metallic teeth of the zipper cut through the silence like a blade. Maya did not step back. "You are initiating a Level 2 search," she said. "You are required to state the grounds verbally and provide the written notice before inspecting personal property." Kellen replied, "Grounds are suspicious credential behavior and potential misrepresentation of identity." "The scanner authenticated my identity," Maya said. You are fabricating justification. A guest in a linen blazer spoke up. That's not how authentication works. I just saw it light green. Kellen's glare swept the room. Anyone interfering will be removed. Iverson began removing items from Maya's bag one by one, setting them on the polished counter. A silk scarf, a book, a sealed toiletries pouch. Every item placed in full public view. Layla whispered urgently, "Officer, we have a private screening room. Policy says level 2 checks must be done out of sight." Kellen ignored her. "Continue," he ordered. Maya leaned slightly forward. "I request a female officer for any removal of personal garments." "You are not in custody," Kellen said. "This is voluntary compliance." "This is coercive force under visible restraint," she responded. Iverson's hand paused over a compartment. His eyes flickered, conflicted. He unzipped it anyway. A small bottle rolled out, an unopened 50-milliliter bottle of cognac, tagged with an airport shop sticker. Maya didn't look at it. "That bottle was not in my possession." Kellen seized it immediately. "Unauthorized alcohol concealed. That's a violation." "It was not concealed," Maya replied calmly. "It was planted." Phones across the lounge captured every second. Kellen's jaw tightened. "Bag the evidence. Prepare detention." Iverson held the cognac bottle mid-air. The blue duty-free sticker glinted under the lounge lights. It bore no receipt tag, something every bottle purchased airside was required to have. "I did not purchase that," Maya said. "Check chain of sale records. All airport alcohol sales are digitally logged." Kellen spoke before Iverson could respond. "Subject is attempting to invalidate evidence. Proceed with violation notice." Maya turned to the nearest guest. "Did you see anyone place that bottle in my bag?" A woman holding her phone nodded silently, still recording. Another guest whispered to his companion, "That bottle wasn't there a second ago." Layla stepped forward again, voice unsteady. "Officer, I reviewed her items when she entered." Her bag was sealed. No alcohol was present. Kellen snapped, "Manager's statements during active investigation are not admissible." Maya didn't flinch. "Pull access footage." "There's no camera pointed at that counter area," Kellen said flatly. Maya's gaze locked on him. "Convenient blind spot." Iverson hesitated, checking his tablet. Footage gap from 1841 to 1843. Camera CX7 is offline. "Offline," Maya repeated, "right at the moment of the supposed discovery." The room seemed to inhale. Kellen moved in. "We're past discussion. You are now being detained under suspicion of fraudulent entry and possession of undeclared substances." Maya remained composed. "Then state your badge number, department, and write it into the report in view of witnesses." Kellen hesitated. Only half a second, but enough. "I will not repeat myself," he said. He lifted the cuffs from his belt. Guests tensed. A man muttered, "He's going too far." Maya's eyes tracked each movement. "Every second of this is recorded. You are escalating liability." Iverson's body cam flickered. Brief static, then resumed. The gap was noted by everyone watching. Kellen snapped the cuff around Maya's right wrist. The metal clicked with a finality that reverberated across the lounge. A murmur rose. Shock, disbelief, anger, none of it enough to stop him. "You are under detention for fraudulent access and refusal to comply," Kellen declared. "My access was validated." "You are acting without lawful cause," Maya said, her voice steady. He reached for her other wrist. A guest called out, "You can't cuff someone for sitting in a lounge." Kellen didn't turn. "Interfere and you'll join her." The second cuff locked. Maya inhaled once, then spoke, not to Kellen but to the witnesses. "Please note the serial number on these restraints," she said. "Record it." Iverson glanced down. The number was etched into the steel. AX119834. Phones zoomed in. Layla, voice trembling, said, "Officer, I'm officially notifying you that this may constitute breach of contract with the Aviation Board. That board doesn't dictate security operations, Kellen replied. Maya met his eyes calmly. Check the wallet. Kellen froze. What did you say? Check the wallet. Back pocket of my bag. He didn't move. Iverson shifted uneasily. Sir, protocol requires us to verify ID before transport. Kellen's jaw tightened. The room waited. Rain hammered the windows. Phones kept recording. No one looked away. Iverson glanced from Maya to Kellen, then back to the still recording phones. Maya repeated, quiet but firm. Check the wallet. Kellen exhaled in irritation. We'll verify your identification after transport. Maya shook her head once. You will verify it now, in front of witnesses. Before you escalate a wrongful detention into a contractual breach punishable by federal penalty. A ripple passed through the room. Iverson's gaze shifted to the metallic wallet partially visible in Maya's bag. Sir, it might be best to confirm. Kellen hesitated. His fingers twitched near his belt. Then, with exaggerated impatience, he reached into the outer pocket and pulled out the wallet. The moment he touched it, the embedded RFID chip emitted a gold pulse. The scanner on the wall lit up again, not green this time, but gold, a color no one in the room had ever seen. The lounge fell silent. What is that? A guest whispered. Maya stood motionless. Read what it says. Kellen flipped open the wallet. The metallic credential gleamed beneath the downlight. IR Liaison 07, engraved with the crest of Aurora Atlantic's executive board. Iverson's tablet chimed with a system alert. Investor oversight present. Level 1 authority. A bead of sweat rolled down Kellen's temple. Iverson took a step back as the system alert repeated across every security device in the room. Investor oversight present. All personnel stand down. The message scrolled across Kellen's tablet. His hand, still holding Maya's wallet, began to shake. Maya's voice remained calm. You will now read the contractual clause printed on the reverse of that credential. Kellen slowly turned it over. His lips moved as he read aloud, each word draining the color from his face. Any obstruction, detention, or search of designated investor liaison without prior board clearance constitutes breach of contract. Penalty: immediate termination of security vendor agreement and personal liability for damages. A woman near the bar gasped. Someone whispered, "He just ended his own job." Kellen lowered the wallet. This doesn't... A phone rang on loudspeaker. Iverson's radio auto-patched the call. This is Armand Reyes, Deputy Head of Investor Relations, the voice said, firm and controlled. Officer Kellen, you are to remove restraints immediately and prepare to surrender your badge for contract violation review. Kellen froze. Sweat traced a slow path down his cheek. Maya held out her cuffed wrists. I will repeat the directive. Iverson moved first. With measured precision, he unlocked each cuff. The click of metal releasing echoed louder than any voice. Maya looked directly at Kellen. You executed humiliation as procedure. Now you will answer for it. The room erupted, not in noise but in stunned, absolute silence. Phones stayed raised. No one moved. Everything had changed. Drew Patel stepped into the hallway just outside the lounge, phone already connected to his live broadcast stream. Comments flooded the screen. The incident had erupted online within minutes. He opened a publicly available database of Port Authority complaints. 3 names appeared immediately, all listed under discretionary lounge removal. All involved the same contractor, Aegis Aviation Security. Drew muttered to himself, pattern confirmed. This isn't an isolated incident. He tapped another filter, race-related passenger treatment keywords. The list doubled. A notification buzzed. Direct message from an airport employee account. Check March 3rd. Same officer. Elderly black couple. Claimed access pass invalid. Drew's eyes widened. He's been doing this for months. Inside the lounge, Iverson stood aside, visibly shaken. Kellen still held the credential card as if unsure whether to drop it or protect it. Maya, now freed, watched everything with measured calm. Drew re-entered the lounge, camera recording. "Maya Ellison," he said softly, not as a question but as confirmation. "You are here in an oversight capacity. And this," he gestured to Kellen, "was a live violation of investor authority." Maya didn't answer him directly. What matters now is pattern recognition. One incident can be dismissed as error. Multiple incidents form evidence. Drew nodded. "I've already located 3 prior complaints tied to this contractor and officer." Layla stepped forward, voice steadying. "Our internal dignity reports were downgraded last quarter. They told us it was passenger behavior." Maya replied, "They told you wrong." Another notification hit Drew's screen. A second employee message: "There's a bonus program. Security gets incentives for removal incidents. Search 742-CX-security. He lifted his phone slightly, recording his own realization. "This is systemic," he said, "and it's about to become public." Drew's phone displayed a forwarded screenshot, blurred names, but the header was unmistakable. Subject: CX Enforcement, KPI Targets, Q4 Incentives. From Aegis Aviation Security Operations. Line item: Goal: increase removal clearances by 18% to meet bonus threshold. He zoomed in. The next line sent a jolt through the air. Note: discretionary classifications yield higher incident multipliers. Prioritize passengers who statistically generate compliance resistance. Drew whispered, "That's coded language." Maya nodded. "They're targeting groups deemed unlikely to escalate legally." Layla stepped closer. "They told us removals were security necessity metrics, not profitability metrics." Maya replied, "Profitability through humiliation." Drew opened another attachment. A bar graph labeled "Incident Clears Per Officer" showed Kellen leading the terminal by a wide margin. Each bar represented money earned. Every phone in the lounge captured the screen. Kellen finally spoke, voice cracking. "These reports aren't public. You can't use internal metrics outside chain of command." "They are public now," Drew replied, flashing the live viewer count, already at 27,000 and climbing. Maya remained composed. "Pull the budget ledger." Layla keyed into the lounge terminal. A secured spreadsheet opened. Account 742-CX-Security Line 14. Incident Performance Bonus Pool. $4,200,000. Q4 allocation. Line 15. Estimated increase from escalations. $1,100,000. A hush fell over the room. Drew looked up, voice steady. "They monetized confrontation." Maya's eyes locked on the screen, calm, unwavering. "And tonight, they will answer for it." Another notification echoed through the terminal system, a distinctive chime reserved for board-level alerts. "Emergency session scheduled. Aurora Atlantic Board. Topic: Vendor Conduct Inquiry." Every officer in the room froze. The walls of the lounge had transformed into evidence. The spreadsheet expanded with a flick of Layla's finger, revealing a tab marked Executive Liaison Notes. A column labeled Sponsor listed high-ranking names, none more alarming than the one at the top. CX Security Vendor Renewal. Authorized by Daniel Rourke, Chief Operations Officer, Aurora Atlantic Airways. Drew looked up. Rourke pushed this vendor through against internal objections. Another tab opened automatically, triggered by the board-level alert. It displayed donation records. Aegis Aviation Security. Political contributions, $750,000 to National Airline Regulation PAC. $300,000 to Aurora Atlantic Shareholder Stability Fund. Maya's jaw tightened. They safeguarded their contract by paying to protect it. A lower section listed projected financial benefits tied to increased removals. Forecasted revenue from removal-driven secondary searches, $18.4 million annually. Operational note. Discouraging lower-tier passengers from lounge access increases premium rebuy rate. Layla stepped back. They were engineering humiliation to drive revenue. Drew turned the camera to the spreadsheet. This isn't misconduct. It's a business model, Maya replied quietly. A model built on profiling and incentivized exclusion. A notification appeared on every security terminal simultaneously. It was not from the airline. Federal notice. Due to repeated passenger dignity reports, Aurora Atlantic Airlines is now under preliminary investigation by the Department of Transportation Civil Rights Division. The room shifted. You could feel it. This was no longer an isolated confrontation. It was approaching federal intervention. Kellen took a small step backward. Iverson lowered his radio entirely. The rain outside intensified, streaking down the panoramic windows like descending lines of judgment. Maya didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "This isn't just about what happened to me," she said. "It's about what this company became when accountability was treated as optional." The system had been exposed. Drew's live stream surged past 75,000 viewers. The comment feed blurred. "My brother was kicked out of this lounge last year. They said my military ID was fake. I thought it was just me." A notification appeared on Layla's terminal. "Incoming media aggregate alert." She tapped it. News headlines cascaded onto the screen. "Passenger forcibly removed from AAA lounge. Claims profiling. Elderly couple escorted out after valid boarding pass rejected. Viral video. Teen honors student accused of fraudulent access." Each headline came with a date. Each incident traced back to Aegis Aviation Security. One report showed a screenshot. A black couple in their 70s, holding hands as officers stood over them. The caption, "They told us it was a mistake. We were escorted out anyway." Maya's voice remained measured. "Show the complaint database." Layla tapped again. A list filled the screen, dozens of names. Some marked closed, passenger withdrawn. Others labeled escalation, no action needed. Drew added, "Most people give up. They don't fight because the process is designed to exhaust them." An older man in the lounge wiped his eyes. "My wife had to sit outside on the floor last month. She didn't tell our kids." Silence rippled across the room. Maya stepped forward, not addressing the officers now, but the witnesses and everyone watching. "This was never about access," she said. "It was about conditioning. Control through embarrassment, profit through exclusion." The final headline on the screen refreshed automatically. "Breaking. A AA board convenes emergency hearing tonight. Security vendor may be terminated immediately." The room exhaled in one collective breath. Something irreversible had begun. Within minutes of the incident going viral, the first countermeasure hit. A statement appeared on social media from the Aegis Security Officers Union. "Unruly passenger attempts to breach restricted lounge area using falsified credentials. Officers acted according to safety protocol. Investigation pending." The post gained traction instantly. Thousands of automated likes, coordinated comments accusing Maya of entitlement and fraud. Drew glanced at his phone. They launched a smear within 10 minutes. That's pre-planned crisis control. Leela's tablet chimed with an internal memo marked urgent. For distribution. Talking points, emphasize rising threats, use term security anomaly, avoid mention of investor oversight. Maya reviewed the memo calmly. They're trying to frame this as a security incident, not a civil rights violation. Kellen, still pale, muttered, "Union's got my back." Maya looked at him, not with anger, but clarity. "They are protecting their contract, not you." Another notification appeared, this time from a burner account. "Breaking. Passenger involved has history of aggressive confrontation, unverified." Drew read aloud. They're planting false backstory to control public perception. Layla whispered, "They did this to 2 employees who reported misconduct last year. Called them unstable, fired within days." Maya straightened. "The deeper they push this, the harder the rebound will be." Outside, a television above the lounge bar flickered to breaking news. The chyron read, "Aurora Atlantic Incident. Passenger accused of fraud. Security responds." Maya stepped forward, unshaken. "They are preparing their defense," she said. "Now the real fight begins." A phone buzzed with a new alert. Federal hearings may include union leadership. The smear had begun, but so had accountability. As Maya stepped out of the lounge to take a call from the board liaison, Iverson pulled her aside. "Ma'am," he said quietly, "we've received instructions to maintain visual contact with you until further notice." "From whom?" Maya asked. "Union Command," he replied. "They flagged you as a potential destabilizing actor." A group of plainclothes personnel loitered near the terminal seating area, pretending to scroll on their phones. Their earpieces were visible if you knew where to look. Layla checked the operations terminal and turned pale. "Your flight details have been accessed by 3 unauthorized users in the last 6 minutes. Maya's phone vibrated again. New notification. "Alert from board security. Tracking attempts detected on your travel itinerary. Protective protocol authorized. Do not travel alone." Drew approached with his live stream still rolling. "Viewers are reporting unmarked SUVs outside Terminal 4. They think someone is here to intercept you." Maya's expression didn't change. "They're trying to apply pressure, make me retreat." Iverson nodded, almost apologetic. "We've also been told to monitor your communications. I'm telling you because I believe this is wrong." Maya met his eyes. "Transparency will protect you more than silence." He swallowed and gave a single nod. Layla's voice trembled. "They're turning this into a national security narrative so they can use surveillance law." Maya replied, steady as ever. "Then we answer with federal oversight." A final alert appeared on the terminal. "Hearing accelerated. Public proceedings scheduled in 48 hours. Instead of fear, the moment settled into purpose. Outside the lounge, a crowd had gathered around a terminal news screen. The coverage had already fractured along predictable lines. One panelist said, "Security was doing their job. You can't expect special treatment just because you're upset." Another shot back, "Upset? She was handcuffed after valid access was confirmed. That's not enforcement. That's profiling." Social media displayed 2 trending tags side by side. Hashtag, "Protect our airports." Hashtag, "Dignity in travel." The divide was no longer silent. Drew's live stream showed comments pouring in. "If she can be dragged out with money and status, what chance do the rest of us have? Security officers put their lives at risk. Stop undermining them. This is why dignity audits matter. The system is engineered against certain people." Layla looked at Maya. "Public sentiment is splitting fast. They're trying to politicize it before truth settles." Maya replied, voice low but unwavering. "Let them argue. Division is the symptom. Reform is the cure." Iverson approached, no longer standing with the other officers. "Ma'am, the union has issued a statement denying your authority. They're saying your credential was staged." Maya didn't flinch. "Then they've forced the next step." Layla asked, "Which is?" Maya turned slightly toward the panoramic window, watching the storm lightning crack over the tarmac. "Full board invocation. On-record hearing. Cameras. Depositions. They want to fight in public?" She looked back toward the lounge entrance, where a growing press line was forming. "They're going to get one." Iverson exhaled slowly. "And if they come after you personally?" Maya's eyes didn't waver. "Then we make sure this is bigger than me." The hearing chamber was already full when Maya entered. Cameras lined the back wall. CNN, BBC, independent podcasts, citizen streamers. Every lens turned toward her. No dramatic music, No applause, just silence weighted with expectation. At the front of the room sat the Board Oversight Committee. 7 executives under oath, their nameplates polished to a sterile shine. The center screen displayed the title in stark lettering. Aurora Atlantic Emergency Session. Vendor Conduct and Civil Rights Compliance. A clerk read the docket number aloud and called the session to order. Maya took her seat at the witness table. Her credential lay in front of her, gleaming under the white lights. The chairwoman, Elise Navarro, spoke into the microphone. Investor Liaison Ellison, do you affirm that your testimony will be truthful and complete? I do. Navarro continued. This session will review the incident at JFK's Constellation First Lounge and any systemic practices that may violate passenger dignity under federal statute. A rustle swept through the gallery as the first clip appeared on the screen, Kellen's hand gripping Maya's arm. The audio filled the room. Badge or no badge, out! Now gasps, sharp inhales, some faces turned away. Navarro looked down the row of executives. This footage has been authenticated by 3 independent agencies. We will begin with the foundational question. How could this occur under our policies? Maya watched without reaction. Her eyes were steady, unblinking. What began in a silent lounge now echoed in a room where every word would be recorded in the permanent record of a federal investigation. The screen transitioned to a synchronized playback. Body cam footage on the left, access scanner logs on the right, and internal security radio transcripts scrolling beneath. Navarro narrated for the record. At timestamp 1842:03, the scanner registered access code IR Liaison 07, authorization level, investor oversight, highest. Yet protocol CX 11.4 was cited to invalidate entry. That clause applies only to guest passes and expired credentials. A murmur rippled across the room. Navarro continued. Officer Kellen, the footage shows you overriding a verified scan. Do you dispute this? Kellen, now seated before the committee with counsel beside him, leaned toward the microphone. The scanner must have malfunctioned. Maya didn't speak. She didn't need to. The committee pulled up the log entry, 2 green validations in succession, each accompanied by gold RFID identification. Next, the KPI chart appeared. Bar graphs, incentive payouts, officer rankings based on incident clearances. Navarro's voice hardened. This program rewarded officers financially for removing paying passengers. Was this authorized by Aurora Atlantic leadership? All eyes turned to Chief Operations Officer Daniel Rourke. He cleared his throat. The data is being taken out of context. Drew's live stream camera focused in as Navarro overrode him. The data shows a direct link between passenger removals and bonus allocation. Line item 742CX security, total $4.2 million. The room erupted, reporters whispering urgently, phones buzzing, viewers flooding the live stream with comments. Navarro held up her hand. Silence resumed. We will now show 3 prior incidents, she said. The screen displayed footage of an elderly couple being escorted out, a teenager in tears, a disabled veteran being challenged by security. Rourke shifted in his seat. Kellen looked down. Iverson stared straight ahead. Navarro said quietly, "This is not an anomaly. It's an operational model." The truth was no longer disputed. It was recorded. The committee chairwoman's gavel struck once. We will now proceed to action. A formal motion appeared on the central screen. Motion 1, immediate termination of contract with Aegis Aviation Security. Motion 2, removal of Chief Operations Officer Daniel Rourke pending federal investigation. Motion 3, implementation of Passenger Dignity Protection Clause in all service vendor agreements, effective immediately. Navarro announced, all voting members will respond aloud. One by one, the board members voted. Approve! 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 Each word landed like a stone thrown into still water, sending visible shockwaves across the chamber. When Daniel Rourke's turn came, he hesitated, sweat gathering at his collar. His vote didn't matter. The outcome was already sealed. Still, protocol required his response. "Approve," he whispered. The gavel fell again. "Motion passes unanimously." A hush followed, not silence of indifference, but silence of impact. Navarro turned toward Maya. "Effective immediately, Ms. Ellison, you are authorized to oversee the restructuring of all customer experience operations. This board acknowledges a systemic breach under our watch." She stood, not triumphant, steady. "This is not about punishment," she said. "This is about reconstruction." Reporters surged forward. Cameras flashed. The nation watched the moment an institution bent under the weight of its own accountability. And for the first time, the system began to reform itself in real time. Over the next 6 weeks, airports across the country transformed in visible increments. Lounge entrances replaced opaque checkpoint desks with transparent access panels displaying real-time verification logs. Every scan now included a line labeled Dignity Protocol Status. Clear, a metric added by Maya herself. Training modules rolled out across all contractor networks. The first slide read, "Passengers are not obstacles. They are stakeholders." Security officers, once incentivized on removals, were now evaluated on respect retention scores, a new metric weighted higher than throughput. For every complaint validated, compensation dropped. Video screens in departure halls played short public notices narrated by real passengers who had once been removed. A father saying, "I wasn't treated like I belonged. That's changing now." A retired nurse, "I fly again because dignity matters." The vendor contract with Aegis Aviation Security was officially terminated. Their equipment was removed from all Aurora Atlantic locations before dawn on a single day. Quiet, efficient, complete. Headlines called it the fastest corporate purge in airline history. Archive complaints were reopened. Patterns were traced. Reimbursements issued. Personal apologies delivered in person by board representatives. A new office launched. Directorate of Passenger Integrity, reporting directly to investor oversight. Maya appointed its first director, Layla. Across social media, the hashtags changed. # Dignity in Travel replaced # Protect Our Airports. And on a single morning in Terminal 4, the same lounge where it all began posted a new plaque at its entrance. This space operates under the Passenger Dignity Charter, enacted January 2026. Every individual who enters is recognized as a valued stakeholder. The system had not just responded. It had evolved. The boarding gate to London was nearly empty when Maya arrived. No cameras, no reporters, just the low hum of the jet bridge and the calming rhythm of pre-boarding announcements. She stepped through the scanner, this time as herself, not as an observer. The panel lit gold again, an acknowledgement of her status. But no one reacted. The gate agent simply nodded with quiet respect, not fear. Inside the aircraft, she chose a window seat and placed her carry-on beneath the seat in front of her. From the side pocket, she removed her boarding pass, the same one she had used on the night of the incident, and folded it once. Then again. She slid it into the back of her notebook. It was no longer evidence, it was memory. Her phone buzzed. A new message from Layla. First Dignity audit launched this morning. No removals, no incidents. Passengers smiled. Maya exhaled, a long, grounded breath. Outside her window, rain streaked along the glass, melting into the glow of runway lights. The engines began their slow ascent of sound. She pressed her hand against the window. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind. Dignity is not a luxury. Maya whispered into the quiet cabin. It never was. Airports will remember this moment, not because a contract was terminated or a headline went viral, but because millions of travelers realized something powerful. Dignity is not granted by status. It is not earned through spending. It is not conditional. It is inherent. If you've ever stood in a line and felt smaller than the space you were in, if you have ever been treated as a problem instead of a person, your story matters here. These changes were possible because people refused to stay silent when silence was the easier choice. Now the question is no longer whether dignity can be protected. It is, how should it be measured? Comment below with one reform you believe should be mandatory in every airport, hotel, or institution where power is uneven. What metric would you enforce, not to improve efficiency, but to protect humanity? Your voice is not an afterthought in this system. It is the next reform awaiting activation.